Ana de Smart Mind é uma escola canadense que oferece cursos de inglês, francês e imigração. Os vídeos estão em inglês ou francês para você se acostumar com a pronúncia. Os professores que sabem português vão te ajudar. Aqui, você vai ver um texto, uma regra gramatical e um exercício. Vamos embora.
Hi, welcome back. Today, you are going to see how to use English and French in Canada. Also, how to get a job in the Canadian market. Now, let's jump in. You are going to see here 1. A text to improve your pronunciation. 2. A grammar explanation to know how to say your things. 3. An exercise to consolidate your knowledge. You will learn how to speak and listen to English and French. Here you could improve your skills to listen, read, write, and speak in order to get a higher score on international tests, to improve your career abilities, and to immigrate to Canada or any other English or French-speaking country. Pay close attention to this video to find out how. 1. Text.
Wild Earth works to protect animals through broadcasts and other technology. It is now creating NFTs linked to 25 popular animals in the protected wildlife area, the Juma Game Reserve in South Africa. It is selling the NFTs to raise money for conservation. NFT stands for non-fungible token. It is based on a technology called blockchain, which is also used with digital currencies known as cryptocurrencies. It became largely popular last year. An NFT can be attached to a piece of digital artwork or other things existing in digital form. The NFT can be used to provide proof that the pieces are real. While anyone can view the work, the buyer has official ownership rights over the pieces. The most popular NFT for the Juma Game Reserve comes from Talalumba. Talalumba is a 4-year-old leopard, a kind of large cat. She is a leading cat for her territory, which means she is called a queen. And she has had 2 babies called cubs. Buyers of the NFTs will get special access to images, videos, and information about animals like Talalumba on an app. They can talk to other NFT owners on that app. Buyers will also get voting rights for the names of Talalumba's cubs and the ability to buy the cubs' future NFTs first. 40% of the earnings go to taking care of the animal's habitat, or where the animals live. Some $16,000 has been raised for the Juma Game Reserve from the sale of 1,000 NFTs. Each NFT costs around $200. Graham Wallington is the co-founder of Wild Earth. He said the project allowed followers to gain a sense of responsibility in the protection of the animals they love. The project also offers a possible new, dependable, and environmentally friendly way to provide income for conservation around the world. He said, if we don't create the necessary economic incentives to conserve wildlife, it won't happen. Current conservation income comes mainly from hunting and people visiting the protected areas. He said these current ways harmed animals, their habitats, or were largely undependable during the pandemic. He said, "We're going to have to find a solution which allows people at home to conserve nature in the wild." Yuri Mulman is the owner of the Juma Game Reserve. He said even visitors to the reserve can be harmful if a protected area has too many visitors. Juma has closed its hotels. He said that the reserve is trying to reduce its harmful effects to the earth. He added that organizations like Wild Earth and the NFT program allow them to continue to share Juma with people everywhere, while also keeping the habitat safe from harm. The NFTs will, however, need to be continuously resold for them to become a dependable source of income for the reserves. Each time an NFT is resold, a percentage of that sale will go to the reserve. It is unknown if there will be a demand for this. Even with this, Wallington is looking to expand. He hopes to sign up reserves in the country's south. The homes of flightless birds called penguins and Kenya's large reserve called the Masai Mara are both in the south. He said, "We've got a plan to scale this in our roadmap to all conservation areas around the world." I'm Gregory Stockel.
Agora você tem o texto. Lembre-se de entrar em contato. Na descrição você tem o nosso contato.
Now you have the text, remember to get in touch in the description. You have our contact. Now that you have an example of pronunciation, let's go ahead. Remember to subscribe and get all the videos, check our website in the description. Now, you will have this, too. Grammar explanation. Have to. Must. Have to is not an auxiliary verb, it uses the verb have as a main verb. We include have to here for convenience. Must is a modal auxiliary verb. In this lesson we look at have to, must and must not, followed by a quiz to check your understanding. Have to for objective obligation. We often use have to say that something is obligatory. For example, children have to go to school. Note that we can use the have to expression in all tenses. For example, he has to, he had to, he has had to, he will have to. Structure of have to. Have to is often grouped with modal auxiliary verbs for convenience, but in fact it is not a modal verb, it is not even an auxiliary verb. In the have to structure, have is a main verb. The basic structure for have to is subject plus auxiliary verb plus have plus to infinitive. Look at these examples in the present simple tense. Subject auxiliary verb main verb, have to infinitive, plus she has to work. I do not have to see the doctor. Do you have to go to school? Use of have to. In general, have to expresses impersonal obligation. The subject of have to is obliged or forced to act by a separate, external power. For example, the law or school rules. Have to is objective. Look at these examples. In France, you have to drive on the right. In England, most school children have to wear a uniform. John has to wear a tie at work. In each of the above cases, the obligation is not the subject's opinion or idea. The obligation comes from outside. We can use have to in all tenses, and also with modal auxiliaries, we conjugate it just like any other main verb. Here are some examples. Subject auxiliary verb main verb, have to infinitive, past simple I had to work yesterday, present simple I have to work today, future simple I will have to work tomorrow, present continuous she is having to wait, present perfect we have had to change the time, modal may. They may have to do it again. had to games for past obligation, have to games for present obligation, will have to games for future obligation, must for subjective obligation. We often use must to say that something is essential or necessary. For example, I must go. Structure of must. Must is a modal auxiliary verb. It is followed by a main verb. The basic structure for must is subject plus auxiliary verb, must plus main verb, base. The main verb is always the same form, base. Look at these examples. Subject auxiliary verb, must main verb, base. I must go home. You must visit us. We must stop now. Like all auxiliary verbs, must cannot be followed by to. So, we say, I must go now, not I must to go now. Use of must, in general, must expresses personal obligation, must expresses what the speaker thinks is necessary, must is subjective. Look at these examples. I must stop smoking. You must visit us soon. He must work harder. In each of the above cases, the obligation is the opinion or idea of the person speaking. In fact, it is not a real obligation. It is not imposed from outside. It is sometimes possible to use must for real obligation, for example a rule or a law, but generally we use have to for this. We can use must to talk about the present or the future. Look at these examples. I must go now. Present, I must call my mother tomorrow. Future, we cannot use must to talk about the past. We use have to talk about the past. Must games for future obligation, must not for prohibition. We use must not to say that something is not permitted or allowed. For example, passengers must not talk to the driver. Structure of must not. Must is an auxiliary verb. It is followed by a main verb. The basic structure for must not is subject plus must not plus main verb. The main verb is the base verb. We often contract must not to mustn't. Look at these examples. Subject auxiliary, must plus not main. Verb, I mustn't forget my keys. You mustn't disturb him. Students must not be late. NB. Like all auxiliary verbs, must cannot be followed by to. So, we say, you mustn't arrive late, not you mustn't to arrive late. Use of must not expresses prohibition, something that is not permitted, not allowed. The prohibition can be subjective, the speaker's opinion, or objective, a real law or rule. Look at these examples. I mustn't eat so much sugar. Subjective, you mustn't watch so much television. Subjective, students must not leave bicycles here. Objective, policemen must not drink on duty. Objective, we can use must not to talk about the present or the future. Visitors must not smoke. Present, I mustn't forget Tara's birthday. Future, we cannot use must not to talk about the past. We use other structures to talk about the past. For example, we were not allowed to enter. I couldn't park outside the shop.
Agora você tem a regra gramatical. Lembre-se de entrar em contato. Na descrição você tem o nosso contato.
Now you have the grammar rule. Remember to subscribe. Now, the exercise 3. Exercise.
Have to, must quiz 1. Yesterday I finished my geography project. Mustn't had to. She will wait in line like everyone else. Must have to has to. 3. All employees on time for work. Must be mustn't have to. 4. We forget to take the chicken out of the freezer. Have to not mustn't. 5. If you are under 13, you to get your parents' permission. Have mustn't. 6. Your daughter may try on a few different sizes. Have to had to. Must. 7. The doctor get here as soon as he can. Mustn't have to. 8. Do you work next weekend? Have to mustn't. 9. Bicyclists remember to signal when they turn. Must has to. 10. Angela, you leave your clothes all over the floor like this. Must have 2 answers. 1 had to. 2 have to. 3 must be. 4 mustn't. 5 have. 6 have to. 7 must. 8 have to. 9 must. 10 mustn't.
Agora você tem o exercício. Lembre-se de entrar em contato. Na descrição você tem o nosso contato.
Now, you have exercise. We will love to read your comments about this video. Thank you very much for watching this video, and be sure to be in touch with us. Keep up there, and write your story. I'll see you at the next one. Bye for now.